This is the Final Whistle podcast from the Wrexham AFC media team.
The final score at the racecourse, Wrexham 2, Ebbsfleet United 0. And, well, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? There were points in this game as we were going through it when you just felt it was tense, it was tight, it was a fairly even game. Ebbsfleet played some decent football and asked some questions of Wrexham's defence. And yet, looking back, like I said, with hindsight, the summary you've really got to give is that was an impressive performance by Wrexham, a deserved win. And yeah, looking back on it, it felt kind of comfortable. Wrexham certainly went to 2-0. I guess with this defence, you always feel comfortable when Wrexham go to 2-0. Indeed, you usually feel pretty comfortable when they score first. So far this season, we've scored first 12 times, won 9, drawn 2. And that's not bad, is it? But yeah, 2-0 up with this defence, really, you don't feel too concerned. And not only that, Wrexham not only defended well at 2-0 up, but looked so dangerous on the break, it looked like we were finally going to get 3 goals in the match this season and push on. But irrespective of the fact we still aren't scoring a lot of goals, we're now second in the table, 1 point off the top. Very satisfactory state of affairs. 5 points off the dropping out of the playoffs, and 9 points ahead of Tranmere, just to put in his little aside. I haven't worked out how far we are ahead of Chester. I'm not a genius. So anyway, let's plough on and have a look at how the game actually panned out. Wrexham making 2 changes from the team that beat Chester. One was enforced. James Jennings was injured. You can hear an interview with him. We'll put it up as a podcast, which we did at half-time. He was replaced by Mark Carrington. And then up front as well, Natumba Masanka was replaced by Alex Reid. Ebbsfleet, who came off the back of what is generally being seen by their fans and media as their best performance of the season. They beat Leyton Orient last Saturday. They named an unchanged side, and they started well, to be honest. The first 10 minutes they were able to monopolise possession. Wrexham were struggling really to get the ball down in midfield and move it around. Wrexham as a result put under pressure, but that's why you have a strong defence. Put under pressure for 10 minutes. Wrexham withstood that pressure and started to earn the right, getting the ball down in midfield. Marcus Kelly starting to come a bit more narrow and demand more possession. And Wrexham, as a result, started to get the possession going more. The passing was patient. And yeah, Wrexham began to carve out opportunities. The first one came in the 10th minute. A really nice move, which was given a bit of acceleration when the ball was played down the right-hand side. Wright feeding it to Rutherford. A terrific first-time ball around the corner by Rutherford to complete the 1-2. And Wright driving a nasty, testing cross into the 6-yard box. The goalkeeper, Nathan Ashmore, lunging, did well to take it on the stretch as it skidded across the turf. Wrexham's next chance, again, happens when Roberts broke down the right-hand side. Kevin Roberts, who got forwards more than he ever has done in a Wrexham shirt during this match. Maybe wasn't tracked back all that well by Weston, in all honesty, and he and Rutherford were combining nicely. Roberts slinging in a cross on this occasion, and it was Rutherford who come inside, popping up 15 yards out with a little flick header, which he put just wide of the left-hand post. I remarked at the time Rutherford's never actually scored at the racecourse, and how ironic it would be if when he did score, he was planting a header in from that sort of range. Well, he actually would have another headed chance late in the game, a much better headed chance to get that first home goal for Wrexham with another header. So probably as threatening on goal as Rutherford's looked in a home match since he's arrived at the racecourse. Wrexham continued to create opportunities in the first half rather than Ebbsfleet. A really nice piece of work by Wedgbury, who played a good ball down the right-hand side. The right-hand side again being where we were creating. Roberts swinging in across, and Holroyd will have been a little disappointed perhaps. It was a delicious ball into the far post. Holroyd did well to step off his man and forgive himself a free header 10 yards out. He tried to head it downwards and didn't quite get it right, headed it down too much towards his feet, and as a result all the pace came out of the ball and it sat up for a simple save for Ashmore. But 2 minutes later, Wrexham came forwards and they got the breakthrough as Holroyd did extremely well with a more difficult chance. It was Manny Smith who started things off as Ebbsfleet are dropping back into their 4-4-1-1 when Wrexham lost possession. Wrexham were having to be patient moving it around in front of them. But occasionally Manny Smith was finding a little bit of space opening up inside of him, and he wasn't shy of coming forwards, taking advantage of it. On this occasion, he drove forwards and played another excellent ball down the right-hand side. He picked out Roberts, who did well to drive forwards and then pull back across. It was a good ball then. The left-sided centre-back, Clark, off balance, anticipating it being driven into the goal mouth, poked a foot out and got a tiny little touch. And it looked like that might have saved the day because the ball span up in the air and fell just behind Holroyd, who was attacking the ball. But he did ever so well to stretch backwards and hook it on towards goal. Ashmore, the goalkeeper, lunged to his left and made a terrific acrobatic attempt to claw the ball back. He made a very similar impossible-looking stop from close range against Orient last Saturday, and he thought he'd managed to pull it off, but the ball had crossed the line. The linesman flagged immediately, and the crowd went wild, although it actually seemed to make just as much noise about 20 seconds later when the livid Ashmore, having chased a referee and linesman around, got a yellow card for his protests. He hadn't delighted the fans with a bit of time wasting before that goal went in, and they took real vengeful glee in seeing him get the booking. The Ebbsfleet looked to recover, and 10 minutes before the break they carved out their best chance of the first half, and it was denied by some super work by Chris Dunn. The ball played in towards the edge of the area by Rance. Weston span swiftly and hit a spiteful shot from the edge of the D, which was arrowing in towards the bottom left corner. Terrific reflexes by Dunn, who lunged low to his right and managed to push it around the post. The second half, Wrexham again started on the front foot, once again starting on the right-hand side. Every attack I've mentioned so far came down the right-hand side because Rutherford and Roberts were constantly combining well with threat. Rutherford whipping in a vicious ball to the far post, nobody quite able to get a touch on it as it bounced across the face of goal and behind for the goal kick. And then 4 minutes later, another opportunity, this time an error by Bush, the centre-back, who came off the bench and had a bit of a torrid time, as I'll make clear as the second half goes on. He trod on the ball, and that gave Wrexham a chance to break. Wedgbury surging forwards from the centre of the pitch. He waited for Alex Reid to time his run and then played a really nice measured pass down the right channel in behind the centre-back to put Reid in on goal. He had three players running in looking for the cutback, but he decided to go for it himself. Probably the wrong choice. He hit it into the side netting, just wide of the near post. He had to really get his body shape twisted around to try and get a strike on it. And he got the ire of the men running into the area who felt he should have rolled it back. And he got that again 7 minutes later in a similar position, this time more clear-cut. He should have pulled it back. Ebbsfleet under pressure, launched a clearance. Pearson attacking it on the halfway line, volleyed it nicely forwards. Kelly, though, had an awkward situation, a ball arrowing at him at real pace. Superb first touch to bring it down, and then he slid a good ball down the left-hand side to send Reid in again into an exciting position. But as he sprinted after it, the angle became well-nigh impossible. He still drove in a shot which hit the side netting, but he really should have pulled that one back and again got a bit of bird from his teammates. Meanwhile, Chris Bush was continuing his frustrating time after he's come on to replace Mambo in the first half. He was booked for a header in the penalty area. I really want to see this one again because it bemused me slightly. A yellow card felt to me like the last thing that ought to have been given. It was a high ball into the box after a set piece had been partially cleared. Bush attacked it very aggressively and won the ball with his head, but smashed into Wedgbury. Wedgbury hit the deck. The referee gives the free kick, gave the yellow card. Like I say, I can't help feeling the yellow was the one thing he couldn't give. Either that was deliberately wild and aggressive and out of control, in which case it's a straight red, or, and I lean more towards this with having seen the replay, if I'm honest with you, he won the really aggressive header and put it out. So it's not a foul, and unfortunately it's getting his way. I don't know. Anyway, the referee gave the yellow, which felt like a bit of a compromise decision, and it continues, but things wouldn't get any better for Bush, although before his problems began, there was one last opportunity, one big opportunity for Ebbsfleet to pull back an equaliser, 71st minute, and by this time Bub had come on as a substitute. He swung the ball in from the left-hand side, a lovely cross, and the centre-back Clark, who was still up from a previous set piece, got up 15 yards out, made great contact with his head, done lunge but couldn't make it, and the ball hit the right post and span away to safety. Wrexham relieved, and within 3 minutes they were 2 goals up. Another unpleasant moment for an Ebbsfleet centre-back, this time Clark, who received the ball on the right-hand side under no huge pressure, but by now Alex Reid had been replaced by Ntumba Masanka, who put in a terrific little 15-minute cameo. He chased him eagerly, even though he had no right really to make a challenge, and managed to intercept when Clark tried to play the back pass. Masanka running into the box, because Clark chased back diligently and with pace, wasn't able to get a shot off, but he did well to feed into Holroyd. Holroyd burst into the area, and the poor Bush came lunging across. A poor challenge by him, hacked Holroyd down in the area. I was slightly confused and, well, concerned, if I'm honest, because the referee took a moment to think about it. It looked such a blatant penalty. He wondered whether he wasn't going to give it, but he did correctly point to the spot, and Holroyd stepped up and drove the ball powerfully beyond Ashmore to give Wrexham that 2-goal lead. There was a little flutter of hope for Ebbsfleet that they might pull themselves back when Coulson swung in a free kick from the left-hand side. Clark, beyond the far post, headed it back across the face. Bubb got up and in front of a complete open goal, and with the ball not particularly high, it wasn't all that difficult a header to get on top of, planted it over the bar. An incredible let-off, and poor Bubb's day went from bad to worse when a few moments later he was substituted. He'd only come on as a substitute about 15 minutes earlier, but he was hauled off. Assumed he was injured at the time, looking at the angry look on his face and the disconsolate body language when he made a reluctant high five with his manager. I think he'd actually been subbed. The sub brought off about 15 minutes later. I'll be watching to see if that's the case. Within a minute, Wrexham were breaking up the other end and causing problems once more. A great breakaway by Wrexham started off, and Masanka showed really good strength, held off his man, took it on the chest, laid it inside. Kelly with a terrific first-time angled pass out to the right flank, which really opened up Ebbsfleet's defence. It was picked up by Holroyd, who initially wanted to have the pace to run into the box and have a go for his hat-trick. When he couldn't do that, he delayed, held on, and chipped a cute little ball towards the 6-yard box. And here came Rutherford for that second-headed chance, running in to out from the left flank, coming across, arriving at the 6-yard box, but he just couldn't get his head around it enough to steer it back on target, and he put it wide of the post. Bush's problems then continued when he was penalised for a free kick right on the edge of the area. Gotta be frank, I don't think it was a foul at all. Masanka picked it up, ran at Bush, nicked it past him, and for mine, when he just ran into the centre-back and did nothing more than hold his ground. But the linesman flagged straight away. He was conned by Masanka's decision. The referee gave the free kick. He gave nothing more. I've got to say, I mean, although I'm sympathetic to Bush for the yellow card and with that foul, he's a bit lucky not to be sent off, frankly. He's on a yellow. He's given a penalty away, hacking a man down in the box. Then he's given a free kick away about 6 inches out of the penalty area. Very fortunate not to get a second yellow. But the referee showed sympathy, didn't give it. And the Wrexham fans were strangely unsympathetic when Wrexham decided with 2 minutes left that they would take the ball to the corner flag from the free kick, and started, some fans at least, to boo the team that are 2-0 up. Very peculiar. Most fans, I don't think, did agree with that, and there was a rousing chorus of Dean Keats' Red and White Army going underground for the next minute, I think, to drive home the point that most of them are perfectly happy with what they were seeing. Wrexham did carve out one last late chance to get a third goal for the first time this season. It was Masanka with a nice chip, really well judged, to send Jack McGrath, the other substitute for Wrexham, clear on goal down the right channel. His first touch was a little bit heavy, but he still looked like he was going to get a shot in on the goalkeeper. An excellent sliding tackle denied him and put it behind for the corner. But wow, Ebbsfleet couldn't complain in the end about the outcome. A good performance by Wrexham, a professional performance by Wrexham. They now have more clean sheets already this season than they did in all of last season. That's quite a stat. And that's a bit of threat going forwards too, which hasn't always been the case. So very, very satisfying afternoon's work for Wrexham. To hear more analysis, let's have a listen to what we made of it at the end of the match. Alex Taylor, James Harrison and I on Calon FM. So the final score, Wrexham 2, Ebbsfleet United 0. Chris Holroyd for the second time this season hitting the net twice. And James, I think overall, with hindsight, I think that's probably a pretty fair reflection of play.
Yeah, I think Ebbsfleet certainly started the game well, and you could probably argue possibly a draw would be a fair result at half-time, but Wrexham really had the better play in that first half and continued to do so in the second half, give or take the odd spell. But I think a goal was coming. Wrexham took their chances, not really troubled by Ebbsfleet, apart from a couple of the balls into the box that they got headers on. But I think Alex said it in commentary. Defence looked a little shaky, and it has done, but solidified as we went on, and that discipline's still there, and they just ticked it over, grinded out a result. And in that last 10 minutes, really put the pressure on when Ebbsfleet had to come forward, and we allowed it. So I think overall, a deserved result. And not too bad a football.
No, absolutely. And Alex as well. I mean, at the other end of the pitch, Holroyd gets 2. So it makes you wonder how many more points we'd have if he'd been fit throughout the whole of the season. We can still see, can't we, that he needs something alongside him. But while he's there, there's hope when we go forwards.
Yeah, and I think I said this to you, we're, from what I believe, we're back to second in the table tonight. If the results have gone our way, and fans are still crying out for that the striker's going to score us 20 goals. We're heading to Christmas and we're second in the table and we haven't got in inverted commas, proper striker. That's a great position to be at the moment. It's not like this club can't attract that kind of player, that calibre of player. But in terms of Holroyd, I think he's been fantastic this season. I think we were really impressed with him on the first day against Macclesfield. He was unlucky with that injury, looked promising then. Yeah, as you say, how many points could we have? It's part of football, players get injured and they miss out. It's all ifs and buts. The fact is, he's worked hard to get back to full fitness, to get back into the team, and he's scoring goals, and he's always looking threatening as well. He always looks sharp, Chris Holroyd. He always looks like he has, at least one goal in him. Yeah, you put a striker alongside him that will guarantee you, 20 goals a season. That's a dangerous combination right there.
Absolutely, and then in midfield as well, the Wright and Wedgbury. Can be outnumbered sometimes with the formations they come up against when we play 4-4-2, but their energy and physicality will carry you a long way, won't it, I think?
Absolutely. I think that centre midfield partnership today was unbelievable. I think the team as a whole today, this is one of the best performances I've seen from us this season in terms of how professional it was, in terms of, yes, some points in the game things didn't go our way, didn't panic, didn't get flustered, and they just carried on doing their jobs. Wedgbury and Wright in the middle, superb. As I said to James in commentary, Wright doesn't do a lot that sort of makes you sort of sit back and think, wow, but what he does well. Wedgbury, a very intelligent passer of the ball, and we saw that in Reims today. She made some clever passes constantly, but he's also strong in there as well. Did some brilliant stuff, defensively working back, and like I said in commentary as well, he's in that sort of quarterback role, if you like. He pulls the strings from further back of field and then sort of progresses further up the pitch. Phenomenal from those two this afternoon.
Absolutely, and James as well. I mean, I'm slightly reluctant to ask you to comment on the defence insofar as we always talk about how solid they are, but Carrington coming in at left back didn't make a problem for it, did it?
No, he didn't. I mean, Carrington, we know, will slot in across that back four or in midfield if you need him, and he goes about doing his business. He's covered well defensively today. He was up against a lot of pace. He's also got Kelly in front of him, who does put a shift in, but not as doesn't cover as much as, say, Rutherford does for Roberts. So I think attacking wise, we didn't quite have an outlet on the left side as we perhaps maybe used to, and I think that's why you saw Roberts and Rutherford perhaps have more of the possession down their side today as a tactic and push forward. But that's not a criticism of Carrington. That's just, he's a right-footed player in a left-hand position. He naturally has to cut inside. So, it just takes a little bit of width out, and I think that's why we saw Kelly come inside and Akil Wright sort of shift over to give a little bit of space. But yeah, he comes off that and joins in. But anyone that's filled in, to be fair, yes, you've got Pearson and Manny Smith have been that constant, but Roberts, Hurst, Jennings and Carrington have come in and slotted there, and the 4 goalkeepers we've used they've all worked well as a unit. And again, going back to Wedgbury and Wright, who you've picked up and doing a lot of that hard work, that's integral to that back 4 structure as well.
A 2-word answer, I guess, James, because we were within the last 40 seconds of our broadcast. But who's your man of the match? Maybe not 2 words, but okay, fairly quick.
Very quickly, it possibly should be Chris Holroyd, who was given the man of the match by the sponsors. But I'm just blown away by the work rate that you get from Paul Rutherford. I think he was influential on the right hand side, working with Roberts to got the cross in, and he works back and clears things in the box. He's all over the pitch.
This is the Final Whistle podcast from the Wrexham AFC media team.